Hey Scorpio, this is your March 2020 reading. So if you're a Scorpio sun, rising or moon, it may well resonate for you. It's a general reading. If you are enjoying it, please do drop me a like and a comment. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. And if you'd like to connect with me, you can find all of the ways to do that over on my website, which is romywyser.com. Okay, Scorpio, let's check out what March has coming up for us. So we're in Pisces season. We still have this Mercury retrograde right now, activating your 5th house. So I think this placement for some of you can be quite tender, you know, maybe even slightly vulnerable as you have those opportunities to self-reflect on perhaps what's been going on with the romantic relationships in your life, with your children, the way that you've been able to express yourself, or where you have held back, and then the impacts of what those choices and decisions have now led to. But we open up your reading with the energy of the Fool, and I think that it is a reminder that you are ready to move forward. So even though as we get deeper into Pisces season, you're in this very kind of, I almost want to say quite melancholy-like energy, you are working with it, you're transmuting it, and you're allowing yourself. I think that this deep contemplation that's going to take place for you is all about giving yourself permission, Scorpio. It's giving yourself permission to start again, giving yourself permission to start over, to come at something from, you know, a different perspective, to draw a line and say, okay, that didn't work, or okay, I've got this far, now what's next? So there's this need to almost like recalibrate your energy. But I think that there's definitely going to be some realizations and some moments that are coming up through Pisces season that have you really reflecting upon what brought you to this point. And it's important, but it also doesn't want to hold you in that place. You know, full energy is bringing in some dynamic, exuberant, determined, energized vibes that say, okay, come on, we need to get moving now. So it's not going to allow you to stay in that past tense for too long. We have Mercury retrograde right through till the 10th. It moves direct in Aquarius and then direct into Pisces on the 16th. That is going to help free up, I think, your ability to then perhaps have the conversations with those people that you're ready to just explain perhaps what's been going on with you, or lay out the new vision of where you're heading and why you're making that choice. I think that this is going to be an interesting time for people who are in your inner circle, Scorpio, as they see you going through this profound transformation and just noticing what it does to you and how it's allowing you to express yourself in a different way. Remember, we had all of that energy, and we still do, with Mars, Jupiter, Pluto and Saturn in the 3rd house for you. But a big shift that's happening this month, of course, is Saturn moving out of Capricorn and into your 4th house in Aquarius. So you're going to have a real preview about the themes that you're going to be working with over the next couple of years, very much about house and home, you know, reflecting back to perhaps you know, family dynamics, how you're nurturing yourself, very much that taking care of that inner emotional landscape. And I think that the realization for you, Scorpio, is you're probably coming to terms with where certain situations or certain kind of environments, doing things in the way that you always have, just because that's what you've always known, just isn't really going to cut it moving forward, and that you're prepared for that radical change in your life. But I think it is quite vulnerable for some of you. I think it's going to feel like, you know, I've just upended my entire way of thinking, or I'm about to make a major life decision that could have quite a powerful, long-lasting impact. 9 of Wands is reminding you that, you know, there is this quality of perseverance that's required. So I think if some of you are finding a bit of heaviness around that retrograde season as we come into March, perhaps with the feeling that actually maybe I should be feeling more like the Fool, I should be having that spring in my step, I should be thinking that this is the real turn, and that the weather's changing. I'm starting to feel lighter, I'm feeling energized, but there's still something that sits around you that is a little bit more weighty and not allowing you to quite make the progress that you were expecting to at this point. But perhaps you're still feeling the bubbling up of that energy of the Fool. It could feel a little bit kind of unsettling at times. I think as well, when we talk about there being this sense of almost curiosity and slight confusion from others as they look towards you and some of the choices and decisions that you're going to be making. And I think that you're going to need to be okay with that, Scorpio, okay? Because you know what you're doing, and you know the path that you're taking and why it's right for you and the decisions that you're making. But just be prepared that maybe not everybody's fully going to either buy into that vision or really trust necessarily that it's the right thing for you, or it's what's good for you. But I think March is absolutely set to be a month where you are taking control of that in a way. But I don't know, I have a sense that some of you could feel a little bit sensitive to the words or the input or the influence of what others have to say. When we hit the 5th of the month, Venus is moving into Taurus and your 7th house. So it's a very romantic placement. It really does put a strong emphasis in and around relationships for you. And I think you'll feel more in the mood to connect and want to kind of have that sense of validation, want to feel a little bit more nurtured, want to feel more supported. And on the 9th, the full moon is in beautiful healing earth sign of Virgo, and it's in your 11th house. So again, this desire to want to connect and feel like people understand you. And maybe to a certain extent, there's going to be moments through this month of March, Scorpio, where you don't feel understood. And I think that's going to sit a little bit awkwardly for some of you, because maybe it's going to bring up a little bit of doubt or uncertainty about what you've been thinking or feeling or wanting to change. And sometimes when we're trying to change and then we're up around people that we've known our whole lives, or that have us in a very set vision, that they think we need to be, then it can be incredibly hard to break free from that. And you have that private self, the High Priestess coming in and saying you don't necessarily want to share everything that's been going on within you. You don't want to share that burden, that emotional journey that you've taken. And I think many of you have come up against, through the difficult transits and energies we've been working with in the last few weeks and months, some incredibly deep and soul churning stuff, and it's maybe just not apparent on the outside world because you just have that cool grace, that sense of dignity, that ability to just on the outside look like you have all your shit together, which is really an incredible gift that you have, Scorpio. But it can also make it difficult for people to then be able to step forward in the way that you need them to have the compassion, to have the sense of understanding or support, because they just think you are so independent. I mean, both the Fool and High Priestess energy are coming through incredibly independent, and it's not to take away from that, because I think you want to have that self-sufficiency, you want to take your own counsel, you want to make sure that the choices and decisions are going to be right for you. But I think there is this deeper longing that's going on right now, Scorpio, to just find people around you who really get you and to connect and just have that sense of bonding. When we come into the 20th Aries season, we also welcome the equinox, and that equinox is bringing about a powerful shift, a powerful rebalancing energy. And I think that's when you're going to start to feel a little bit freer in any kind of energy that has been making your vision feel a bit cloudy. Even though Pisces season is another water sign and should feel comfortable from that regard to work your way through, I just have a sense at the beginning of this March could just feel more vulnerable than you would like it to, just perhaps because you have either made that big leap of faith and there's still a little bit of doubt in you about whether you've done the right thing. I'm going to say to you that you have that High Priestess as being the guide and the wise counsel to make sure that you are coming at this from a real heart place, and I do feel that you are being very divinely protected on this path right now. But Equinox and Aries season does activate your 6th house, Scorpio, so it's asking how you're going to be taking care of yourself, what you need to do, what the structures and systems you need to put in place, how you want to be of service, the way you want to show up. And again, 2 of Cups coming in is a bit of a reminder that says, you know, when you can be in complete union with your higher self, with that connection with source, you know, however that is best achieved for you, you know, is it through meditation, is it through some kind of yoga practice, is it through just having time out for yourself? But that's the most important relationship that's going to help keep you in balance through this month of March. I think though, for those of you with an emphasis in and around relationships, Venus moving into Taurus is going to be harmonious and helpful for you. And I think that healing moon with Virgo again is going to bring a little bit more of a grounded feeling to help you open up and be a bit more direct in terms of what it is that you need. I think you're going to have to take a leap of faith with your heart space in some regard this month, Scorpio. You know, that might come up in, you know, more personal romantic relationships, but for some of you it could also show up in a different aspect of your life, you know, connected to family or what's happening in and around your work. But I think you are going to be called up to have to put something on the line and be really open and vulnerable in that. I do think it's set to free you up in some way, because there's almost like a need to find some validation, perhaps, that either what you've been thinking and feeling with regards to another person or a situation is true, or perhaps that you just need to be able to speak your truth in that moment, you know. And as long as you can come at it from a place of you're not really needing the expectation of anyone else to respond in a certain way, I think that this is going to be a very powerful moment and a really powerful shift for you. Yeah, card of truth coming through. You see that Ace of Swords is about the clarity that you need. And I don't really, interestingly, Scorpio, I'm not seeing this as you kind of looking to somebody else to speak their truth. I think this is something bubbling within you. I think this has come around because of what's taken place in this season of growth, and you're now coming into like a really clear understanding of like who you want to be, how you want to live your life, you know, what is the priority. And I think that those relationships that have perhaps felt really problematic or challenging or difficult in recent times are just weighing too heavy now. There's something that needs to break, you know. You just need to clear the air, clear the energy, and that is going to deliver you kind of a spark that will also help with any kind of weariness, because I think you are aware, Scorpio, but I get the sense intuitively that the drain that you've had around you because of the impact of environments and relationships and the dynamics that have played out has hit on your physical and emotional energy is really strong, and especially through February, I think the full realization of perhaps just how much that was impacting you has come up to the surface. And now in March, there's almost that energy of like, I just have to change something. And you might not even know the exact direction or the exact way that you need to do that yet, and I think that's okay too. Although I have a sense that for some of you, you will already have had those details well and truly figured out. Now, the card of the Lover is connected into the sign of Gemini, but also that ruler of the 6th house. So it is an important just indicator of what Aries season is going to be about for you, the way in which you are making choices, how you are deciding to show up in those really important relationships in this month of March, I think is going to set the tone over the next few weeks and months for you. And I think you're aware of the importance of that. It just feels like you know you have to get this right. You know you have to perhaps at times tread carefully, but there's also this desire to say, I'm not going to hold back anymore. I'm not prepared to. That Ace of Swords right at the core of your reading is not really going to let you off the hook in some ways. I do think some of you are being presented with a choice from a relationship perspective. I think that is problematic for some of you, because what I'm picking up intuitively is it may be that your heart is still elsewhere, but you're feeling like if you wrote it down on paper, one option is far more in alignment perhaps with what you're looking for, but there's something that's telling you it doesn't feel right. Now that could be with regards to a romantic relationship. It also could be connected into business partnerships, or even where you're aligning from friendships, or trying to decide who to work with in business or from a client perspective. It is really important with that High Priestess energy that you do link into that heart space. I think if you take the wrong path, it is going to feel, it's not that it would be wrong, but I just think it will feel so uncomfortable for you and more problematic, because you know that in the first instance what your gut was telling you, and you have that supersonic sixth sense anyway, Scorpio. So you are being asked to trust and take that leap of faith even when others may go against you. So we have the Knight of Wands coming through. Could be a Sagittarius energy, or perhaps another fire sign, a Leo or Aries. If this is regards to relationship, I feel that you are looking for some kind of validation. That's what I'm picking up. You are looking for some sense of, are you on board with me here? Are we on the same page? Are we ready to take this adventure together? Because I think there's an element of you feeling something, like they keep giving me the word flaky. So who's flaky? Who's shown up of recent times or is set to be around you this month that is not being consistent with their thoughts and words? And I think that's really going to irk you this month, Scorpio. So you need to kind of have that conversation so that you can be absolutely clear, because this is about where you want to invest your time and energy, resources, money even. And so you need to know, it's like I need more of a commitment to come through, that at least we're moving in the same direction here. I have a sense that you are, because actually both the Fool and the Knight of Wands are moving off together. So I do think that that conversation that needs to take place, or some sort of breakthrough that will happen this month, is going to give you what you need. You are going to hear or receive the information or intuitively be guided to make that right call that's going to help you. Okay, now Five of Swords coming through, I think is partly to do with the fear that's going to be moving in and around this situation for you, Scorpio. So I think there's going to be some uncertainty that you're going to have to deal with. Both Nine of Wands and Five of Swords are looking kind of doubtful here. Okay, so there's something that you're feeling really uncertain over. Perhaps you just don't have all the information, or maybe what's showing up from a physical manifestation perspective just isn't really at the moment delivering what it needs to, or showing you that actually the outcome that you're seeking is possible. What I'm going to tell you is that even if there are bumps in the road, this journey is still one that you have been guided to take. The journey representing whatever the course of action, whatever the conversation, whatever the situation is that's unfolding. Okay, so for me that Five of Swords is perhaps just a kind of bouncing back energy. Remember, we're still in retrograde right through to the 10th, and then we're still going to be in shadow period for most of March. So you are going to be revisiting situations where perhaps things didn't go your way or didn't come together, or maybe when somebody does come forward and show that commitment, then you're really a bit uncertain because maybe in the past they've let you down before. So you are going to be coming up against that energy, and I think it's going to make you feel vulnerable, and you're going to have to be quite stoic and centered to make sure it doesn't kind of grip hold and stop you from tapping into the radiance and the optimism that Full energy is bringing in. Okay, Ace of Swords is talking about a new opportunity, a new beginning, something coming in that's going to help you clear out any old toxic patterning, right? The card of the Lovers definitely suggests there's the opportunity for a more soulful connection to come through this month. Hanged Man I really like, actually. And the reason I say that is because through Pisces season, we're working with that Neptunian energy, which is also the ruler of the card of the Hanged Man. And I think the most important message that comes through from this card is that you're going to have to surrender into this process somewhat, Scorpio. And as a fixed sign, occasionally that can feel a little more challenging for you, but you have to surrender in and allow even those feelings and uncertainties and doubts and worry about things not coming together, because you're not going to be in full control of all of the component parts of what's unfolding this month in March, okay? And there's almost this surrender that needs to say, you know, things are changing, right? But sometimes there's a bedding in process, right? There's a divine timing and order that needs to come into play. So you might be ready, everything could be lined up, but you still feel a little bit stuck or a little bit like it's not moved as quickly as I expected it to. I think it's far further ahead than what you can see, because the energy in play right now is absolutely working in your favor. But I think that this is more about you needing to surrender into the fact that you need to give yourself permission to change. You need to release the doubt, the disappointments. You need to, at a certain extent, take people at their word this month, even if you feel or know different. You know, you're going to have to trust that the choices and decisions that are being presented to you. And I tell you what else I feel is that maybe what you might feel as there's such a profound kind of shift in consciousness is that no one path feels like the right path. Okay, so you might have choices on the table, but you know, there could be, even though your heart might be saying this is where I feel drawn, it could still leave you in that slight limbo land of thinking like, you know, neither of these, even though I feel more drawn toward one option, is necessarily taking me to where I want to get to. And so where does that leave me? So I do think there is some bigger questions that feel like they're getting kind of left like hanging in the air in March, but I don't want you to worry about it, because I do think if you dig a bit deeper, you will feel into the energy shifts that are taking place and know that there's just more to come, and that March is this time of giving you almost a little bit of a recharge. You've got the card of moderation, the rhinoceros, okay? So there's beautiful fire energy coming in. You are manifesting, you are instigating, there is forward motion, but this is also a card of like deep connection into your spiritual self, you know, finding that light within you, knowing that you can't control everything and everyone's responses, but when you are aligned and staying true to what is important to you and what really matters, when you have that kind of heart expression and integrity, you are going to move through this month with less resistance and not make it harder than it needs to be for yourself, okay? Where do you need to come into balance? You know, it may be that you just need some kind of escape from whatever the situation is that feels like something has to kind of have a breakthrough. So, you know, you could well be guided towards just some kind of alternate way of doing something, a new activity. I think physical exercise is really going to help you just to clear the energy in whatever way you are able to do that. So you have this card of divine consciousness, which is so beautiful. I think it's reminding you of the power of your connection and how guided you are. I think this rainbow is absolutely indicating the blessing that's coming forward, almost this art of surrender that comes in as well, but knowing that this kind of, there's almost like this hand of God aspect at play in what's happening in March. You know, you may, for some of you, feel like you've literally been turned inside out, and some of those deeper transformative kind of adjustments that you've been making and the awarenesses that you've been coming to about yourself and others, about the way that your life has unfolded and what is being asked of you right now. Because I think many of you are feeling like, you know, there's been a big ask by the universe. The universe has kind of pushed you to a point of saying, here's where you need to change. And I think many of you are willing, you know, you've got that full energy that's saying, okay, I'm here, I'm ready, I'm showing up, what now? And then feeling like it's all gone quiet. It is about to get moving, and I think that this is going to be a really catalytic month for you, Scorpio, where a lot is going to change. You're not maybe going to sense and feel all of that through March, but when you look back, you're going to realize why you were almost drip-fed information at times, or kind of held in a place of surrender. but I do think you're having that forward motion happening, and I think people are going to start to come on board and understand you in a way that you've been looking for, and that connection is going to start to come in more powerfully. I hope that has given you some insight into this month of March, Scorpio. Thank you so much. If you enjoyed, please do drop me a like and a comment. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. I'm going to go ahead and pull us some cards for the extended reading. If you'd like to join me, what we're going to do is just continue the conversation and pull out some deeper messages. What I'd like to do right now is ask you to just think of a specific question, perhaps that's not been answered in the cards, or something else that you would like to focus on. I'm going to pull a couple of cards and we will cover this very clearly in the extended, okay? So if you just think of that for me right now. 2 cards to cover that off. Okay, now let's just pull some clarifiers for your main reading here. So we pulled full energy. Another High Priestess coming through here. Such a receptive energy, the High Priestess, you know, she's stepping back, she's really reviewing the energy and the situations, but she's having to be very clear about holding her energy strong. Page of Pentacles coming in. Could be an earth sign that you're dealing with. Lover's card with the 9 of Wands. I think relationships are strongly in focus, but also for some of you, that element of choice that's coming up, you know, waiting for an offer. Is the offer good enough? You know, whether that's from another person or a situation that's coming up around you. 10 of Cups. I love that Venus and Taurus placement for you this month. I think it is going to bring that beautiful, sweet, soul-soothing energy in when you need it. You have 8 of Cups with a High Priestess, so you've left something behind. Perhaps you're needing to dig deep around that. Okay, 2 of Cups with Ace of Pentacles. New beginning, new start coming in. 2 of Pentacles, but choices to make. You're really weighing something up right now, Scorpio. I think it's going to be on your mind like day and night through March is kind of what I feel for some of you. Another full energy with the Ace of Swords, okay. Pull another one for that. Wow, Ace of Wands. Look at all this freshness coming in for you. I think when we move into Aries season, you're really going to be ready to kind of take the reins and start to action on so many things that perhaps you've been aware needed to get some focus. Card of the Lover, another 5 of Swords there. Somebody's definitely causing you a headache, or people. 7 of Cups. Yeah, I mean, that's very epitomizing that kind of Piscean energy we're in right now, okay, isn't it? This sort of illusionary, I'm not quite sure what's going on here, or what they're thinking or feeling, or where I'm at, or who's with me and who isn't. Knight of Wands, 6 of Pentacles. Where have you been giving too much? Not been receiving enough? More balance coming in. 6 of Swords, wow. You are on the move though. Journey of discovery, but beautiful journey. 10 of Swords. Okay. Lovely. Yeah, Hanged Man, 4 of Cups. Definitely feeling in limbo a little bit over something. 4 of Wands, perhaps house and home. Changes in work. Okay, the Emperor's coming in with moderation. I feel like he wants to put a wet towel on something a little bit, put a dampener on something. It's almost like you're not allowed to get too excited over something just yet, but there'll be reasons for that. 7 of Swords. Interesting. Let's pull one more for that. Yeah, Chariot. Beautiful. Okay, Scorpio, if you would like to join me for the extended, you can find the link in the description box below. Otherwise, thank you so much for tuning into the channel. I wish you bright blessings for the month of March. Take care. Speak to you soon.